welcome to StoneMagpie. My name is Suzanne and today we're going to do some more of the Dreamer Designs Supernova kit. I have been working a little bit on this one since my last WIP and Chat, and I'm really looking forward to completing some more of this area here whilst we have a chat. I hope you're all okay. I hope that you're getting on really well with your own diamond painting. And let's start. We're going to do this floral to begin with, but I can see there are points of 3/10s, so I may well dot those in first and then we'll get into the main part of the colours. Woo! Right, we're getting some 3/10s. This kit is around, as you can see, and the bright colours that go onto this canvas are just so uplifting. It really is a pleasure to work on, even though I am still battling the static a little bit. Hey ho, I've accepted it now on this kit, and we'll see if I can show you an example of that as we go on in the WIP and Chat. But there we are. Like I say, this kit is wonderful to work on anyway, and the colours are so startling bright. Really are those pop art type colours. Just beautiful. So as I say, I'm just dotting these in, and as I'm recording, I'm not able to move the canvas, so I'm finding I'm not quite bob on in my placements. So do forgive me, I might have to do a little bit of faffing to get them into the correct place. It has been a little while since I did some of this kit, and that is for two reasons really. One is it's such a big kit. It is huge, a long landscape size kit. So I do need to sit in my conservatory on my big dining table to do this one. And it is winter currently, and this room does get quite chilly. So I've not been inclined to sit at the table as much as I would normally because of that reason. And if you are a dedicated follower, not of fashion, but of my channel, then of course I send my utmost thanks to you. I always appreciate every view, every subscribe and every comment I get. Thank you so much. It always gives me such a thrill. And I just feel so fortunate that I can share my diamond painting experience with you all. And not only diamond painting now, of course. If you also watch my floss tube videos, then again, a big thank you. I have only just started my floss tube, and I have got so excited about cross-stitching again, and it is one of those things I can do in the lounge on my knee whilst around the family. Whereas what I find with my diamond painting is I come away from the lounge area to be on my table. So that's the difference. In winter, I'm finding cross-stitch does work for me. And being able to do that on an evening as well really helps. So yeah, I've got quite a lot on the go at the moment, and it is all good. I just love everything about crafting in whatever way, and sometimes it's good to change it up a little bit. I did think about doing a floss tube for quite a while, but because I hadn't done cross stitch for years and years, I was a little bit nervous about getting back into it and how things had progressed. But I found I'm just jumping in. I'm doing the whole feel the fear and do it anyway. So I'm getting a little bit more practiced again in my stitching. And don't worry, it doesn't mean that I am leaving diamond painting behind, because I love it so much. All it means is that I've now got 2 obsessions. Yeah, it's a case of my name is Suzanne and I am a cross stitch and diamond painting obsessive. And quite frankly, I don't care, because it's all good. It's all healthy mindfulness stuff, so it's not hurting anybody. So I don't mind admitting it at all. So yes, I am continuing with my WIPs, with my unboxings, and I really hope that you saw my latest 3 diamond paintings from Diamond Art Club that I got in the Black Friday deals. I got 3 very different kits, I think. They all differed from one another in their feel, and I loved each one. Now you may be wondering why I've not started another kit, because it is quite unusual for me not to have more than 1 kit being worked on at a time. And that isn't only because of my cross stitch or the fact that it is winter and this room gets quite cold. There is another reason for that as well, and I will share that with you throughout this video, because normally I do like to have either like 2 kits that differ slightly, whether I do a square and a round, or whether it is a kit from 2 different companies, that sort of thing. I like to change it up a little bit. And at the moment, I'm just got the Supernova. I have left this one out on the table and said to the family, if you would like to have a go, please do have a little work on it. I really don't mind. It's so big. I think it would be so lovely to have different parts of this canvas completed by different members of the family. And of course, because Anthea, when she came over from Australia, she did the crescent moon here for me on this left-hand side, I thought it would be really lovely to be able to have it as a multi-person kit. So leaving it out on the table and inviting anybody to have a go hasn't worked as well as what I thought, because nobody else has taken up the challenge. Yeah, they've all sort of skipped around the idea. And I did say to my son actually last time he was home if he would like to work on it with me, and we could do a little whip and chat, because he is so funny. He absolutely makes me laugh out loud, and I thought it would be great for him to have a little chat with me and do a whip and chat, but he said absolutely not. So perhaps that's what's put him off getting some diamond painting done, because it was actually him that got me into diamond painting. He bought a kit during lockdown to help his anxiety, and I had no idea about it, and I was watching him complete a kit, and I just thought, I've got to do this. This looks so much fun, and I've never looked back. And I don't know if it's because I've taken it up so thoroughly that he's now not as keen, or whether it's just that now lockdown is over, he doesn't feel the need to diamond paint. I don't know. So it's a bit of a shame. I would have loved him to continue and join in a video with me. But one day, you never know, he may surprise me one day. Yes, so what was I saying? Yes, about having different kits on the go. So that is one reason why I don't have more than one at the moment. The other reason, and I haven't really spoken about this in a WIP and Chat, because I've not really been well enough to be doing videos properly. When I was recuperating, if you've not heard, very briefly, I had a health issue towards the end of last year, and I wasn't able to diamond paint for quite a while. And one thing that was happening at the same time, and which I've not spoken about, is the fact that we had our house on the market. So yeah, it was quite a stressful time, let me tell you. Trying to sell a house when you're not 100% well is quite tricky. So viewings had to be arranged for when I was feeling up to being out of the house. Anyway, eventually we did get an offer on the house, and unfortunately they hadn't sold their house at the time. So we accepted the offer, but the house had to stay on the open market for obvious reasons. You know, we had to try and move forward with it. So we accepted the offer, but we were still accepting viewings from other people. And when I was taken into hospital, before I get to that point, when we were doing viewings, I was really adamant about how we were going to set up the house for people to view the property. So I was a real stickler for things like putting the towels in the washing machine, so there were no towels out in the bathroom at the time, and setting up the bed with the really nice duvet and cushions and throws on the bed, and fluffing up the sofa and cushions and things like that in the lounge, and basically taking out anything from the kitchen that didn't need to be in there. All sorts of things, and obviously cleaning really well, you know, doing a thorough clean, hoover, polish, doing the bathrooms, getting the kitchen sink all shiny and sparkling, and all sorts, you know, the things that you do to make people think you're clean. No, not at all. No, to give people the impression of how they might want to live in the house. So yeah, when I was taken into hospital, I was in there for a few days, and we did have some viewings booked in. So I left a list of what my husband needed to do to make sure the house was viewer worthy. And yes, you've guessed it. When I was in the hospital, we actually got an offer, a really good offer from a cash buyer. And so my husband had the gloating rights then to say that his cleaning had sold the house. Rather than all of the times that I'd cleaned and to no avail. So, you know, I didn't mind. At least the house had an offer on it and they were cash buyers, so that was really good news. Now, you maybe can tell I'm talking in past tense. If you're not in the UK, I'll briefly explain what happens when you're trying to sell your property. You market the property, viewers come round to view, they put in an offer if they want to proceed, and if it's favourable, then you accept it, and then you appoint a solicitor. You do things like searches so that they can find out more about the property and whether there's any planning in place around about and things like that, as well as usually getting a home survey where a surveyor comes round, checks the details in the property, the build, etc., to see if there's any issues within the property itself. And if there is, then the seller has the opportunity to sort those out or to reduce the price. And it can be quite time consuming, it can be quite expensive, and people can back out at any time up to exchange day. So, well, even until the exchange is done and signed, you can back out at any point. So, I think you might be able to guess what I'm going to say. Around Christmas time, these cash buyers asked us if they could have a survey done with their surveyor, and we booked in an appointment with them after Christmas, something like the 2nd of January, so it was literally the first day back to work after the Christmas period. We had the surveyor come round, no problem, a few hours, and he was happy with the majority of things in the property. There were some little issues, there always is, and in our case we had a block drain at the front. No problem, because, you know, we can get people in to unblock the drain, get a report, and hey ho, great. So we got onto the drain people. Within this time period, the UK was absolutely battered with rain. It was relentless rain every day. I've never known anything like it. And I've never known our back garden be as waterlogged. So that was highlighted as a bit of an issue. And then when I explained that it's never really normally like that, they accepted that, and I invited them to come around and look at the back garden on another date to prove the point that it was just the amount of rain we'd had. I really hope, I'm going to say at this point, everybody who was affected by flooding during that time, I really do hope that you've managed to get back into your properties, because it was a horrible, horrible time, and we were very fortunate not to have flooding or anything like that to deal with as well, because yeah, we're luckily live in a place where flooding isn't really an issue for us. Yeah, so we weren't perturbed by the surveyor report. We contacted the drainage people, they made an appointment, they came and looked at it. They said it really wasn't too bad. There was a tree root in the drain. Unfortunately, his hose, because they sort of water jet it to clear it, his hose was a bit faulty. So they made an appointment to come back, which they did, and cleared it all out. No problem. Unfortunately, the buyers decided that they were no longer interested in our property, which came as a bit of a shock. We had literally just got onto our surveyors to ask them for a quote in doing a survey for a house that we had found. Luckily, again, we hadn't actually paid for it before hearing that our buyers were backing out. So it could have been worse. We could have forked out £600 and odd for a survey that we then didn't need, because we don't know if we can now proceed with that house. So yeah, quite stressful. They always say selling houses and moving is one of the most stressful things in life, don't they? And I'm still waiting for my operation date. So I've still not 100%. Still feel quite nauseous and sickly on a morning and things like that. But I am back at work. I am back at work full time, and I have managed to do my full hours for the majority of January. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I can be back at work and continue, even if I feel grotty a lot of the time. I think my body is kind of getting used to it a little bit, feeling quite sick. But some days are worse than others, let's say that. Some days are worse than others. So I kind of feel like I've got that hanging over me, and the stress of the buyers and what they're planning to do and things like that. So anyway, I've now got over it. I'm now thinking, you know, things happen for a reason, and I am a massive believer in that. Perhaps we weren't on the right path. Perhaps the universe has swerved us off the property for some reason, or, you know, maybe we really need to reassess our choices, or, you know, anything like that. So that's where we are with it. And I feel quite sad about the property we'd found, because it did have a spare bedroom, which was going to be my craft room. So I'd have been able to put my table out up there and have my own space to do recording whenever I liked and things like that. So I do feel quite sad about it, but you never know what's round the corner. And when we were selling the first time, the couple that put the offer in and weren't sold were apparently heartbroken when our house sold. In fact, so much so, they took their house off the market and decided not to sell theirs. So, of course, when our estate agent heard that our buyers weren't proceeding, they called this couple up and told them the situation and asked if they would like a viewing again on our property to see if they still liked it. So they jumped at the chance of coming to have a look. I was a little bit, let's say, sore. I wasn't in the right frame of mind really to be offering viewings again, because I felt like, you know, as I say, perhaps we shouldn't have been selling, or, you know, I was a little bit, not annoyed, that's not the right word, just a little bit put out, a little bit bruised, let's put it that way. And to be honest, a little bit weary with the whole situation. Just tired of having the house being looked at and things, and then having to start from scratch again. Just felt too exhausting, too big issue. So I wasn't 100% forthcoming with getting viewings up and going again. The estate agent, though, talked me round and said, you know, why don't we just see what these people think? You don't have to put it right, you know, on the full open market again until you feel like the time is right. So I took their advice on board and agreed that they could come and see the house, on the basis that last weekend we would have the weekend free, because I really think I needed that headspace. Sorry, I'm just checking if that is a 310 there. Yes, it is. I needed that headspace to lick the wounds, as it were, to recover from the, not shock of a buyer pulling out, but, you know, the disappointment, that's the word. To get over the disappointment. So I agreed to doing a viewing on the Tuesday. Anyway, so what I thought was, right, this weekend I am going to have a really lovely weekend. If they're coming to view the house on Tuesday, I'm not even going to clean the house till Monday night. I'm just going to do whatever I want all weekend. So I'm just pushing these a little bit to try and get them to lay flat. Don't know if you've been watching, but they have been a little bit cuddly. So just a gentle press tends to help. Yeah, so I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to do a bit of diamond painting. I'm going to do a bit of cross stitch, and I'm just going to do whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like doing it. So that morning we had an early morning call, so needed to be up early, something like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So we got up early. I took Monty out while Nick dealt with the housey things going on. And when I got back from the dog walk, we said, you know, we've been up so early, let's just go and have a snooze. We went back into bed and, you know, just what can I say? Just cuddled. And just sort of had a bit of a lazy morning. So got up, didn't even make the bed, just got up. We decided that we'd have a cup of tea, had a cup of tea, and I said to Nick, right, I just want to do a little bit of craft. I had the shopping arriving as well because I'd ordered an online shop, which I do every week. So we had a cup of tea, we waited for the online shopping to arrive. And then once the shopping arrived, Nick said it would be really lovely to go out and have just a quick bite to eat, just a cheap Wetherspoon lunch. If you're not in the UK, Wetherspoons is a really cheap meal where you get a drink thrown in for free. It's just, you know, basic food, but it's great for when you just feel like nipping out and having a cheap lunch. So that's what we decided to do. Off we went in the car. We got there about 12:30, had a lovely lunch. We were probably out till about 2:00, something like that, because I did want a little stroll around the town afterwards. Had a little stroll. Quite fancied getting a magazine, but I couldn't find any that I was really interested in. So we came home and I said, right, I haven't done any crafting yet today. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit and I'm going to do a bit of cross stitch. So I made another cup of tea. I got myself all cozy in the lounge and got out my cross stitch kit, put on a bit of YouTube, and I was just getting settled down when, bring, the doorbell goes. So I had a quick look out the window and I thought, there's 3 people stood outside. That's unusual. What's going on? And, number 1, yes. Oh, all these number 1s are going to be a yellow AB. Oh, that is going to be stunning. Beautiful. Let's get those out. Ooh, look at these. That is going to be such a beautiful area. And I have to say that there are touches of ABs on this canvas that are really lovely. And I will show you the full canvas that I've done at the end of this WIP and Chat so you can see. And they're little tiny little blings, whereas this is such a concentrated area. So I've just seen those fallen. This is such a concentrated area that it's going to be fabulous. Oh, lovely. Look at those. Aren't they so twinkly, so pretty, gorgeous? Yes, so the doorbell went and my husband was actually on the toilet at the time. There is a reason I'm telling you this. It's not too much information. Well, you might think differently when I say he was actually doing a number 2 at the time. So I said, Nick, there's 4 people at the door. And he was like, oh, right, go and answer it then. Because he was like, you know. So I thought, well, what's going on? So I answered the door in a bit of a huff because I was, you know, getting ready to actually do what I wanted to do all day. And lo and behold, he was like, hi, it's Fred. Now, Fred is the estate agent. Never met him before because our estate agent changed. The person that we were talking to has actually left the estate agency. And I was like, oh, hello, well, what are you doing here? And he said, it's time for the viewing. I was like, no, it's Tuesday. One thing I haven't told you is that I had all my washing as well on the radiators because it's not been the greatest weather and washing just won't get dry on the line outside. So I had Nick in the toilet doing a number 2. I had the washing on the radiators all over the house. The bed is still unmade. And he's like, the viewers are here. And I'm like, honestly, my heart fell to the floor. And I was like, no. The viewing's Tuesday. And he's like, no, 2:45, right now. So I looked at this couple who were looking a little bit bemused, and I just said, I'm so sorry, I wasn't expecting you. I thought the viewing was Tuesday. Can you give me half an hour? Thinking half an hour I'll be able to just quickly whiz around and set the house up, obviously not as well as what it would be had I had a whole evening. But unfortunately the estate agent had an appointment after hours, so he sort of looked at me and said, will 15 minutes suit? And I just thought, that's better than nothing. So I was like, yes, that's fine. Closed the door. I ran into the house. I was like, Nick, it's the viewers. Get off the toilet. Put some domestos down it. What's your music room like upstairs? Is it a mess? And he was like, right. So you can imagine it was absolutely frantic. I was getting the washing off the radiators, putting it folded in the utility room, even though it was still quite damp. I was taking the pants and socks off the hanging line that we have in the utility room, trying to put everything away as neatly as I could. Zoomed into the lounge to fluff the cushions, went into the bedroom to make the bed and throw on some cushions. I mean, I had to just make the bed, so normally I put nice clean bedding on and, make it look all nice and smart. Not that time. I was just throwing everything back on and trying to make the best of it. I didn't even have time to hoover. Ran into the kitchen, quickly tidied up the countertops. The towels just had to stay in the bathroom because I couldn't put them in the washing machine. Oh my goodness, it was... Sorry, I'm just struggling with this wax. I don't know if you can see, but it keeps falling out of the pen. Just pushing it back in a bit. Yeah, so it was a bit of a full-on turnaround. I just very, very quickly flicked a duster around and... honestly, I have to say, I am really thankful that we were in, because if we had been out at lunch, if we'd had a really lazy lunch and not been in, the estate agent does have their own key. Can you imagine if he just came in with the viewers? I mean, I was embarrassed that they were on the doorstep and I wasn't expecting them. I would have been mortified if they had just walked in and witnessed what sort of state the house was in. God. Anyway, so 15 minutes later, I was sort of satisfied with how it was. It wasn't perfect by any means, but be thankful for small mercies and all of that. It wasn't as bad as when they first arrived. So we got Monty on a lead. Thought we'll just take him out for a walk around the village. So got him on lead, got our coats on. Luckily it was dry weather, because I don't think we would have been as happy to walk around in the pouring rain. But yeah, luckily it was quite dry. So we just quickly bundled our coats on. We answered the door and said, right, the house is all yours, take as long as you'd like. I'm so sorry that we weren't quite ready for you, and honestly, it's not as nice as I would have liked it. Thankfully, as I say, this couple have seen the house before and they did love it the first time round. Oh, thank goodness they have seen it at its best anyway. So off we toddled around, and we do have one of those doorbells that does like a bit of a film when you've got people at the door, so we could monitor when they left, because it gives us an alert when somebody's at the door. So they were in the house for quite a while actually, probably about 40 minutes or so. So when Nick checked that they were out of the house and all was clear, we headed back, got back to the house, and Nick said, right, can you get your keys out? And I said, well, I haven't brought my keys. He's like, oh no, I haven't either. And so we realised that Fred had locked the door. Of course he would do, because we weren't there. And we hadn't brought our keys because we were in such a hurry to get out of the house, a bit flustered. So now we were stood outside. By this time it was about just after 4 o'clock, locked out of our own house, no way to get in. So I said, right, let's go round to the back. Let's go and sit in the back garden and think about what we can do. Oh my goodness, so there we are in the back garden, huddled up. It was getting quite cold by this point. I was like, right, have we left any windows open anywhere? No, of course, we couldn't be that lucky. So I said, we're just going to have to call a locksmith, and we'd better call it before it gets too much later, otherwise we'll be paying out of hours. Nick said, well, before we do that, let's think, because the estate agent that we've gone with used to be a client of Nick's when he had his own business. So he said, I may well have his number, his mobile number. So he was searching his phone and he was like, oh no, I didn't keep it. He tried one of his old workmates. They didn't have it. So he tried his ex-business partner, and they said, right, give us 5 minutes and I'll see if I can find it. Anyway, luckily, after 5 minutes, he called back and said, yes, I've got this mobile number. I don't know if it's his current one, but it's always worth a go. So Nick made the call, and thankfully he was on the other end of the line. So Nick explained the situation, and he called up Fred and said what had happened and organised for him to come back and let us back into the house. So another fortunate outcome. Oh my goodness me, what a day. So by this time it was nearly tea time, and I said to Nick, all I want to do is sit down and stitch. So we had a quick bite to eat. We weren't that hungry because obviously we'd been out for a lunch, so we just had like a bit of a snacky tea, and I was finally able to sit down and do some stitching. Oh, what a day. Really wasn't the day we'd planned at all. But I am so thankful that we were in the house when they turned up. And believe it or not, we have now got another offer from them. So they are scrabbling to get their house on the market. They are confident that they'll be able to sell quickly. So we may be on the path to moving. We're just waiting to find out now. I'm hoping it all goes well rather than have to set it up on the open market again, but we'll see. I feel a bit more energised to get on with it if that doesn't happen. So it's all good. But of course, because I was expecting to be moving house, I didn't want to get another big kit on the go, because it's okay moving house, isn't it? But if you're in the middle of a kit, I don't know, I just didn't want to have to put it all back together, move with it, and put it at risk of being damaged or anything like that. So in a roundabout way, with this huge long story I've told you, that is the reason at the moment why I don't have at least 2 diamond painting kits on the go. But I have got some beautiful kits, and I'm really, really wanting to get one of them out and going. So if it gets much more on in February and we haven't progressed much further with the house sale, I think I will do it, because the conservatory will be heating up. It'll start getting lighter, because this is another issue I have in the winter time. We lose the light so early on in the day. Yeah, so I think if it gets much further on, I'll start a new kit. I won't put it off for that much longer now. But which kit? Now that's a totally different question, isn't it? With all of the glorious ones I've opened. Oh, I don't think it would be my Alice, and that's because there is a lot of detail in that one, so I think that will be quite confetti heavy to do, which wouldn't be as quick. I am really, really, really wanting to get on with my bear, Remembrance of a Legend. But that again is another huge kit. And the one I've just unboxed with the dolphins, beautiful, is more of a summery kit, I feel. So I want to keep that one for warmer months. So yes, I'm in a bit of a dilemma. I still have lots in my stash, of course I do. And I've got some beautiful kits in my stash. One of which, of course, is Moon Goddess. Now that could be a contender, because that is a square, and I'd like to do a round and a square, this one being the round. However, it is, of course, now the year of the dragon, and I know lots and lots and lots and lots of people have got dragon kits on the go in celebration of that. And I do have a kit. I bought it quite a long time ago now, and I can't exactly remember when, but it's a good year ago, and I got it from the one with the diamond art. And I haven't actually completed one of their kits yet, and it has a dragon. So that could also be a contender. Yeah, so I'll need to have a think about that one. But as I say, it won't be straight away anyway, because hopefully these people will sell their house super quick, and then we'll be back on track for a move late spring. And yeah, I mean, I would be really, really, really sad to leave this house in a way. I love this house and this area. I do love the conservatory and being able to see the birds and things, but it will be super, 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 super to have my own craft space. I can leave everything out as I want it and it not be touched. Oh, it would be so exciting. And if it's meant to be, it will happen. And if it's not meant to be, then there is a reason why. Oh, look. And I do love this kit for this, because being quite blocky, it does move on quite quickly. Ooh. So what should I do next? I think I'm going to do this area and lead up into there. So 3 dots, aha. 3 little dots, this beautiful, beautiful pale, pale lime green. See how we get on with this one. There we are. And you know, keep getting little extras. I will have to sort those out later. Put them back in their respective boxes. I also love, love, love multi-placing with my diamond painting, because with cross stitch you can't possibly multi-place, and it is a lot slower. So I'm also really enjoying multi-placing. Hurrah! It goes so quickly. Such big areas in such a little time. Oh. And that's not because I want to rush kits, but you do get such a great feeling of it moving on at a pace. Honestly, if you are watching my floss tube, I very recently put out only my 2nd video, and you'll see the progress I've made on a couple of kits, and yes, it takes ages. But I love that too, so it's all good. I tell you what I am finding as well, there are quite a lot of diamond paintings that are also cross stitches. So that's really interesting, because there was a kit that I missed out on as a diamond painting, and I found it as a cross stitch, and I do show that in my recent floss tube. So I'm able to do that as a cross stitch instead. Win, win, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Oh, I've made myself really hungry now. Oh, I could just have a chicken dinner. Ooh, with Yorkshire puddings and lashings of gravy. Proper Yorkshire girl. Oh, my tummy might start rumbling any minute. And I haven't got a chicken dinner to eat. So my tummy might have to put up with soup. Not quite the same. Although some soups, and I'm just talking about a tinned soup, but some handmade beautiful soups, yummy, yummy, yummy. And I haven't made one for ages. I need to do that. I need to do one in my slow cooker. I did make a fabulous minestrone soup in my slow cooker a couple of times, and I need to do that again because it was so tasty. Really chunky soup, beautiful. Right, I'm going to do some more Zs. Get these blue bits in. Oh, they're ABs too. Of course, I did some here, didn't I? So. There we are. Yeah, so on the health update, I am still waiting for an operation date. So that's not progressed much either. It just feels like there's such a lot in my life that's up in the air at the moment. Just waiting for dates and things, or I don't know. I feel like I'm taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back in a lot of areas. Is that the same for everyone at the moment? Or is it just me? It'll all be trying to work itself out, I'm sure. And if you're in the same boat, then yeah, let me know what your story is with this one step forward, one step back business. I tell you what, there was 2 magical moments that I experienced this week. One of which was the full moon that, well, it was sort of last week really. It was called a wolf moon. Oh my goodness. Oh, I woke up one morning and I came into the kitchen without turning the light on. And I just thought, gosh, it's really light outside. But it was like a beam of light in the kitchen. So I thought, where's that coming from? And I looked out of the window and it was the moon. The glow on the moon was incredible. It was spectacular, really, really was. And honestly, I thought, is the sun already up and it's beaming onto the moon? But it wasn't. It was just the way the sun must have been hitting it to glow is the right word. I've never ever seen it just as luminous as what it was that day. And it created these strands of light across my kitchen floor. Oh, that reminds me of a song. It was by Kiki D. I've forgotten the name of it, where it starts, strands of light across a bedroom floor. Strands of light. Oh, I better not sing it. I'm not a very good singer, but you'll know, if you know the song, you'll know what I mean. Yeah, strands of light. But this was across the kitchen floor. It was absolutely stunning. And when I set off for work, the light had come up a little bit, so it was a bit lighter in the sky, and I thought, oh, that moon this morning was astonishing. And as I turned the corner onto the main road, the moon was there in its full glory. It wasn't glowing anymore, but I could see all of the details of the moon just there, hung in the sky as a full moon. Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. I very nearly stopped to take a photo, but when you take a photo of the moon like that, it never really looks the same as what you see in true eyesight. Well, unless I'm just a rubbish photographer. That could be the case, of course. Yeah, so I thought, no, this is one I am just going to enjoy for myself. So I was driving along the road with this moon right in front of me for ages. It was, oh, fabulous. Just so lovely. What a gift. And talking about gifts, on the same week, driving out of the village, I was driving along, minding my own business, when suddenly a small white owl flew right in front of the car and away across the field. So serene, it was just gliding across, and I have never in my life seen an owl. And it was, I don't know if it was a baby one, but it was so small and so white. It really took my breath away. And again, I slowed the car right down so I could watch it for a little, well, I mean, moments, but for as long as I could. Slowed the car down, and yeah, I just watched it. Oh, it was beautiful. Such a treat to have. And I've been trying to work out what sort of owl it would be. And it was definitely not a tawny owl, because tawny owls are more brown, whereas this was a white. And so I looked up a barn owl, but they seem to have a darker patch of brown on their back. And whether it was the light or whether it was just that I couldn't see it, it just seemed more white with a very small grey fleck within it. So I don't know what sort of owl it was. Oh, so pretty. So now, of course, I'm looking out for it in case it happens again, and it may never, ever, ever happen again, ever. So, And funnily enough, talking about that, I was listening to the radio. I listened to Chris Evans' breakfast show on Virgin Radio, and not long before I saw that owl, they were talking about appreciating moments as if it's the last time you did it. And so, yeah, maybe that was the message for me that day, to appreciate anything that happens in case it never happens again. Yeah, could be. They are so gorgeous, these blues. Oh, I do love ABs. I absolutely love the colour play in all of the different colours of ABs. Really fab. And at the end of these little spokes of light, oh, how glorious. And this kit is of course called Supernova by Dreamer Designs. A big supernova of design. Talking about planets and universes. Right. This wax is not doing very well today. It is the Dreamer Design wax, but I don't know if I've not put it into place very well. It was pulling out and now it's, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to, I'm just going to fill in fact, I'll do this little area and I might do some H's, and then I don't know how long I've been gassing on to you all for. You'll probably be like, oh, take a breath, Suzanne, take a breath, for goodness sake. But I haven't chatted to you all for ages. I've missed you so much. I do recognise names. You know, when people comment or send me emojis, often I do start to recognise people, and yeah, I appreciate everybody, and I know that not everybody comments or emojis to me, and that's fine if you choose not to. But I do sometimes think, and I hope you don't think this is really weird, because, you know, I hope you don't think I'm sort of stalkerish or anything, but I do sometimes sit and think, oh, I wonder what such and such is doing. I wonder what they're working on, you know. If I haven't heard from you in a little while. I won't name names because you might think I am a little bit strange, but I think, oh, yeah, I wonder what they're doing right now. That does make me sound terrible. Cut! I might have to cut that bit out of the video because you might think I'm absolutely crazy. Well, you probably know by now how crazy I am. Oh. Oh, dearie me. I can't believe I've admitted that on camera, but yeah. Oh dear. Right, I need to change the subject quick. Don't know what to talk about now. I think I've given you such a frenzied update in my life and what's happening in it. That I think I'm done. I think I am spent. So I am going to leave it there for today. I am going to say an absolutely massive thank you to you all for watching, for all of your support in any way that you support me. It is always really, really appreciated. Believe me, it really is. Now, I do need to show you what I've done on this canvas so far, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so it is a bit of a strange angle, but I really wanted to be able to show you what has been completed on this one so far. I didn't explain that I'm not using release papers on this one because it sort of self-sections itself with the outlining and the florals within it. So it is a bit more organic rather than in rectangles. So we've got this side done here. This area is where we've just done today. Then it goes up, misses out that cloud because I haven't got to that bit yet, goes round and up to this cloud here, and I've just got a bit more outlining to do on the very edge there, and then I can finish that cloud and fill it in. So it's sort of swirling down the side, and as you can see from, if I pull this across a bit, there's still such a lot to do on this canvas. Hence why I left it out on the table for everybody to have a little go at, but you never know, one day I might be taken up on it and I might come down and think, oh, I can't remember doing that section, somebody else has done it. It's a pity really, isn't it, that I can't have an open house and you all come and just do a little bit. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? Oh, I love that. Anyway, I have to go. So thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoy your own diamond painting. Until next time, keep sparkling. Bye.